Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV. And hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I am Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Corner Bookstore. And we are going to explore writing about faraway, fantastical worlds with author Winter Lawrence. Joining me, as always, is my co-host and friend. She is the trifecta here at USA Global TV. Her name is DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. She is a co-host. She is an expert presenter on our Talking Heads platform, and she is an elevated listener. This means she is someone you want to get to know because she has a safe space for you where she will actually listen to what it is you have to say. She's extremely accomplished in her own right. She is an internationally award-winning author, and she is the queen of networking. Let's welcome her to the show. Hello.
Hi, you're always so kind to me. Thank you. And happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, happy. Yes. Let's zoom in on that. Let's see what you have there.
It's a vintage shamrock and a little pin, and it's sweet.
It's beautiful.
From the 1940s.
Very nice. We need to have you on, wear that on our fashion show as well. We had fun yesterday, didn't we?
We sure did, as always.
It's always so much fun. For people who don't know, DIANN is actually co-host on 3 different shows that we have here. The first is the United Kingdom News and Culture. The second is Fashion, Travel, and Fitness. And the third, obviously, is the Corner Bookstore. So, DIANN, for people who are just joining for the first time, we're so happy to have them. I'm going to spotlight you. And if you can give people a little bit of a background about what it is you do and why books are so important to you. And then we're going to play a song of peace.
Oh, thank you. Sure. Hello, everyone, and happy St. Patty's Day. I'm a children's author, as well as having my very first young adult historical fiction book out, which I'm very proud of. I try to write books, or I do write books, that are about hope, love, kindness, and really to love yourself and be kind to others, even if sometimes it's very difficult. And then I write books just so you go away and you just feel happy and good inside. And I like going to schools. I like giving keynotes. I enjoy being with people, connecting people. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please let me know. But Dr. JACALYN, I would, if it's okay, love to read because I do have a passion for reading. Books are important to me. I love hard copy books that you can touch and so forth. But today, with it being St. Patty's Day, and even if you're like, oh my gosh, what's St. Patty's Day? We all can use a blessing no matter what part of the world we come from. So here's our blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields until we meet again. May God hold you in the palm of his hands. An Irish blessing for everyone and all our listeners and viewers. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
That was beautiful, DIANN. Thank you so much for that. Amen. I'm going to play a song of peace, then we'll bring in our guests. If you can share with our audience, what is a song of peace?
Sure. This book came out in August, September, and it's really important now with the way we are in the world at the moment, and may we have peace soon. But the Song of Peace is all about a little boy named Tommy who wishes for nothing more than to have peace and goodwill on earth. And he goes on this lovely walk with a neighbor, and he and his mom start singing the word peace, and pretty soon people around the world are joining them in all different languages, singing peace, and wishing for that. And so you have to read the rest of the book to find out what happens, but it's quite lovely and has a great twist to it. But it all ends in peace, by the way.
All right, let's take a look at a song of peace, and then we'll bring out our guest.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann Floyd BOEHM's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DIANNFloydBOEHM.com.
Yay, that was beautiful.
I get chills every time I see that. I wish all the authors knew how great Alcini does commercials through USA Global TV. So thank you, Dr. Jacqueline.
Thank you. Yes, so for people who don't know, Alcini produces all of our commercials here. He's got a great voice. He actually worked for NBC for a time, and he's a co-host. He is a talking head, and he's an elevated listener and the voice of USA Global TV. All right, we've got our guest backstage. Also joining us from the great state of Texas, her name is Winter Lawrence, and she's a librarian. How cool is that? Okay, she's an author, she's an editor, and she loves her furry friends. We're going to find out a lot more. Let's bring her on. Welcome to the show, Winter.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You know, as I mentioned, I've never had a librarian on any of our shows. I've always thought it would be fascinating to have that, you know, purview into the library, know where everything is. And it's just so cool. So we're going to talk about that as well as your writing, obviously, which is paramount. But before we begin that, I'm going to spotlight you. And if you can share with us, what is it about writing and books and editing that is a passion for you?
Well, I've just always been such a huge avid book lover. When I was a child, I grew up, you know, in a very lower income household. And so the library became my very favorite place to be in the whole wide world. And it was really awesome for me to just find and discover all of these different places, even though I could never get there. You know, it was one of those things where I was in the middle of the Bronx and, you know, I didn't experience life outside of that. But when I went to the library and I got a book, you know, I was able to just travel all over the country, all over the universe, go to all these fantastical places. And so I just fell in love with the written word, and I've just tried to pursue it and share that, you know, throughout my entire life.
Exciting. And Diann, I know because you're an excellent writer, just the idea of a faraway, fantastical world where everything is filled with love and peace is exciting. But Winter, you mentioned backstage before we started the show that you have a group of people you're really writing for and really writing to. Would you like to share more about that?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, when I was younger, I would read a lot of books that I didn't see myself in. So a lot of the books that I read, they had these younger females, but I didn't look like them. I didn't talk like them. And I definitely didn't have the lifestyles that I would read about. And so I just remember when I was a child, I said, I want to be able to read a book where I see myself, where I see this little Puerto Rican girl in this urban setting, and she is actually doing amazing things. She's the heroine. And so as I got older, I made sure that I embraced that. And now what I try to do is always make sure that in all of my books, I'm writing about underrepresented characters, not just females, but just people in general who don't typically have the spotlight. And I want to make sure that they have their place so that every girl, every boy who picks up a book when they go to their library can see themselves on the pages, can see themselves, you know, as the protagonist.
I
So
love that, because that's what we're about here at USA Global TV, giving people a safe space to share wherever it is you're from, whatever your background is. So, Diane, you and Winter have met via this wonderful technology right before. And we've talked about this before on our show, is that authors are very supportive of each other and lift each other up, as opposed to other industries where there's a lot of competition. It's like, no, get him out of here, get her out of here. So what are your thoughts on that, both of you? I'd love to have you elaborate.
Winner, go ahead and then I'll follow.
Oh, yeah. So we're part of a group of Texas authors who definitely come together and we share resources. I think that's one of the most important things as an author. It can feel like you're on this little lonely island when you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to write a book. And you think it's like this great epiphany of an idea. And you're like, I've got this. I've read 1 billion books in my life and I can do this no problem. But then when you start the process, you're like, this is wow, this is difficult. And so when you have this great group of authors you can reach out to, not only do they inspire you and uplift you and motivate you to finish, because a lot of times people think, oh, you just write a book from start to finish, no problem. But it actually is quite the process. So to have people being there just as your cheerleader is amazing. But then to also have people there who are going to tell you the best routes to go, because there's so many different wheels that go behind the publishing process. So to have people there who you trust, who can put you in the right direction, is so important, so pivotal. And that's why I'm so grateful for Diann and all of my other fellow Texas authors. They've always been so amazing and helpful.
Oh, you're so kind. And you're absolutely right. Our marketing guild we belong to is how we met one another in an interview. And now working on ways of bringing us all together. And I'm hosting a party at my house soon. So you're co-hosting. And so that's exciting. We'll meet in person. But that's what I love about this authors community. So my background is as an educator. I'm not a librarian, but in the classroom, we all loved our librarians when I was a teacher, and still do, I'm sure. That camaraderie, that we can trust in one another and feel safe, that no one's going to go, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, I'm going to steal it. That just doesn't happen. We just go, you go for it, girl, because generally you find out that everyone has their own ideas of what they're doing, and no one. I think anyone who would steal an idea, they're just never in our community, are they?
Now we're very fortunate, and we're always so quick to jump in and help each other. I just had an author friend of mine, he's like, oh, I just did this on Amazon and I got sales, do it, so it's funny. We're the complete opposite, where we're like, something works and it's successful and we want to share it. Like most industries, I guess, want to covet it and make sure that they keep that to themselves, whereas writers are completely different. We're like, this has worked, do it right now.
I know. In matter of fact, let me tell you guys, I really hope they'll come on and be on Dr. JACALYN's business show. But I immediately texted Dr. JACALYN, gave her this link and said, I just met this amazing CEO, and she started this company called Up Level just for women. And it's phenomenal, and it's a whole networking thing for around the world. And how cool is that? I didn't go, oh my gosh, I'm not going to let anyone else know about it. I'm really good. Go meet her.
And yet it's funny, in many industries, that's how people are. It's like they keep it close to the vest, it's interesting. So a topic I'd like to touch on, because every day there's someone new that's creating content, whether they're writing, and some people do it under the guise of getting rich. What are your thoughts about that? They're going to write a book and it's going to be on the New York Times bestseller, and then they're going to be at Oprah's book club, or the opposite, and they're going to be on stage. And so how do you feel about that, Winter?
What's funny is that I am a very introverted person, very shy. I don't like my life at all on I personally don't even have any social media for my own, I guess, personal life. And so I actually write just because I wanted to make sure that there were books on the market for girls like me, like the little geeky girls out there who are looking for that one like niche sci-fi fantasy book. That's sometimes hard to find with the underrepresented protagonist. But when I started writing it, it almost was just, it's a part of me. It's something that I have to share with people, but I never wanted it to be something that I guess I was known for. Or, I mean, money is nice, right? Money pays the bills, and that's fantastic. So, I definitely don't mind getting a royalty check every quarter. But, I guess I never went into this for that part of it. I went into it because I just love to write, and I always have these ideas bouncing around in my head. And I was like, I want to share them with people who are interested in them, because there's going to be that little niche audience out there who's gonna latch onto it. I do know people though who have gone into the industry with the idea that they wanted to become, New York Times bestselling authors, which is fantastic. I definitely wouldn't turn it away if the opportunity came about. But I think that sometimes if you go into it with that mentality where I'm just writing to become rich and famous, I think sometimes that can be a little bit emotionally harder on the writer. And so when I see that, I get a little bit concerned, only because I understand how difficult this industry is. And I know that the amount of rejection that we get as writers is profound. And so I think when I see authors going into it just for like the fortune and the fame of it, I just really worry about them, because there is a lot of roadblocks and they could probably very easily get discouraged and hurt. And of course, I'm all about everyone being emotionally well. So for those people, when I encounter them, I go, that's great, but maybe look at it as just sharing a little bit of your wisdom with people. Try to look at it at a different angle, I guess, is how I approach it, just so that when those rejections come in or those roadblocks pop up, it's a little easier for their writer's heart, because our writers' hearts are very tender, just to take in, but and then to just keep striving too, in that same breath. It's go slow, be realistic, but then keep striving and keep going, because if that's what you want, yes, go for it. Don't stop until you hit it, but just pace yourself. I guess.
Good tips there.
Beautifully
Diann?
stated. Beautifully stated. I agree with her 100%. You don't go in it for the glory. Of course, you hope it happens, but it's all about what is the message you want your reader to walk away with, and whether it is sci-fi, the different genres, and that message is important. And when they walk away, they feel good about themselves. And Winter, I'm a total believer in trying that my readers can see themselves. So when I did The Little Girl in the Moon, I didn't do the typical drawing, because I thought, okay, around the world, people aren't going to see themselves. I like to play, right? And there's some kids playing, but maybe they don't see them. So I approached even my illustrations differently so that kids could see them in that spotlight. So I'm really congratulate you on making sure you do that. And Puerto Rico is awesome, by the way.
Yes.
So,
It is my heart. That and New York, of course, because I'm technically a New Yorican. I was the first generation born in the Bronx, which so I'm very proud of. I love my home. I love my home and my original home, PR. It's nice and tropically warm there, unlike today in Texas.
you and Dr. Jacalyn have something in common, don't you, Dr. Jacalyn?
What, the weather?
New York.
Oh, New York. Yes, I'm in Florida right now.
Yes,
Yeah, so I love New York as well. And I haven't been since the pandemic. I'm wondering how it's changed.
It's beautiful. My daughter and I went last year. I try to go home every year. I get very, very homesick. And so we went last October, and it was fantastic. Had to wear a mask everywhere and be very respectful, but that was okay. Everything was good times. And we went through a stretch of great weather. And we're going back home again in May. So fingers crossed that
Good for you.
Yay.
That's exciting. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I would love to explore some of your work and then also talk about the library. You're a librarian at a major university. And I honestly haven't been in a library in years. And I'd love to know how it's changed over time because I have memories of going and pulling out the drawer with those little cars. Yeah.
The card catalog. Oh gosh. Those we just have there for display for nostalgic purposes.
I figured that it had to change quite a bit since then. So that'll be interesting to explore. So we're going to take a look at a couple of clips and then we'll be back. So right now, let's just take a moment.
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 So I've had the privilege of photographing some incredible people over the years, and during each shoot I've asked the subject to close their eyes and take themselves to a peaceful place just for a few seconds. I've found that this really helps to refresh the energy between the camera and the subject. They had an energy that was quite special and quite different from the rest of the shoot. The collection grew and now it feels the right time to use it for something good. I think it'd be amazing if we could help to raise awareness and involve people in the discussion about mental health. So what we're asking to do is for everyone to upload their own self-portraits. All of these portraits will become part of a massive artwork. I'm really excited to see this project go from hundreds of pictures to thousands of pictures. Essentially, an ever-evolving artwork that says we're all in this together.
Close your eyes and take a moment.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann BOEHM. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd BOEHM tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at DiannFloydBOEHM.com. Visit DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. That's DiannFloydBOEHM.com.
popular as it is now. But she really took to gaming when she started in junior high school. And I quickly found out that she was actually very, very good at it. She has some amazing hand-eye coordination, which she definitely didn't get from me because I'm just as clumsy as can be. But she took to it really well, and she started playing these cooperative games where you know, you can almost start like competing. And it was something that was very exciting for her. And, you know, we were very supportive of her. But as she started getting more and more into it, we started to learn that it was very odd for female gamers to be as good as she was, I guess, which I thought was very off-putting. And as we started to immerse ourselves more into this gaming world, I thought I needed to write a character. This was one of the underrepresented groups that I felt that I needed to speak to, was for female gamers, because my daughter started it and I started gaming as well, and we really enjoyed it. And I felt that we didn't have enough of a presence. And so that's what inspired me to write my first book series, where the protagonist is a female gamer. And she manages to get herself sucked into a government simulator, of course, very war game-esque. And so she's the one, she gets, you know, she gets pulled into this world with her next door neighbor, who is the actual, like, he's the athlete, the typical jock. But so she's the one who has to kind of save the day, because even though she's kind of introverted, and she doesn't do a lot of things in school the way I guess traditionally you would think, like be part of a team and, you know, have a lot of friends and all of that. It's her skills and her knowledge is what is able to save them. And so it's kind of like the reverse role where she's the heroine and she's getting him through all of these harrowing experiences. And, you know, there's that play of, he has almost like that machismoism, where he's like, I'm this big buff guy and I should be able to save you, but it's always her kind of having to save him. And so it flip-flops the roles, and it teaches them both valuable lessons as they go through.
I love that. That's really exciting. I like, oh, you can't hear me?
it. Sorry, I was horrible at gaming, so that was really fun to hear. My daughter was good.
I have a friend who went into that World of Warcraft. Is that what it is?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and became completely consumed with it, just like hour after hour after hour. It's amazing. And of course, I don't get it at all. When they would have the arcade with those pinball machines, you know, I was always bad at that, so I didn't even go further.
Yeah, it's actually, it's just so amazing. And when you find your niche, so my daughter was huge into Call of Duty, which, you know, most people are familiar with. And she would just go in there and like, you know, it's kind of like you're a soldier, and she would just go in there and she'd just like knock out all these maps and, you know, do all these things. And she played much better than I did, and much better than actually a lot of people. And so that was her niche. But in her gaming and being so interested in it, I found other games that then I realized I was really good at. So they were mostly like children's games, though, like Shrek and Little Big Planet and stuff like that. But yeah, you can definitely get immersed in there and lose yourself, but you lose days. Like, you good to keep a calendar.
I think
By
you
the
also
TV to
learn
go.
strategy too, don't you? I mean, depending on what game it is you're playing, you can learn how to incorporate what you're doing in the game into real life.
Oh yeah, and they actually have a lot of games. My daughter's one of her favorite games is one where you have to. It's Minecraft, which I think everybody else is familiar with, and it's one of those games where you actually have to like pay attention to like the day-night cycle and feed your animals and build stuff to live in, or you know, you can't be out in the elements. And she has always tried to get me to play those, and I'm like, baby, that's what I do for real life. Like, we have to live. Like, I have to grocery shop and feed the animals. And I was like, when I get lost in something, I don't want it to be like reminiscent of what I have to do every day.
Which brings me to your point. What is the process? Are you like a discovery author, and write as you go, or do you map things out? Do you get your idea first? What's your process?
Oh gosh, I'm such an OCD kind of gal. So I have everything mapped out. So originally, so the idea will come organically, something like with the first book, my daughter gaming, and I thought to myself, okay, I want the female protagonist. And then from there, it took me about, gosh, I'm going to say probably about 3 years to
Wow.
finally figure out how to put that all together in a way that made sense. Pulling in the elements that I wanted because I really wanted the idea of being able to go in and out of games, and using that where you had to like succeed in one part to be able to get just like you would in a true video game. And so yeah, for that gamer series, it took me about 3 years to storyboard that book one. And then when I finally got it published and they wanted me to continue the series, oh gosh, that took me that one was it was a to be able to also tie in the other one. So yeah, it takes me a while, but I have to have the idea, completely flesh it out in my mind, and then I can write it from start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a cool process.
Mhm.
I love the idea of storyboarding it.
Yeah.
3 years. Oh my gosh, you have such patience.
I never really wanted to, like I said, I'm a very shy, introverted person. So the idea of like sharing it, that probably was the thing that held me back the most was that like I had it in my head, this like idea of this girl, but I was like, it's just an idea. So and then the thought of publishing something terrified me.
And
um
and you seem so outgoing. Doesn't she, Diane? Well, you know her already, but for me, I'm like, "What?"
Exactly. You're very, very good. But that excitement when you held that book for the first time, and Dr. Jacqueline knows that feeling. We all three do. But for you, like to see that process of 3 years of thinking of storyboarding. I mean, I just figure your wall must just be covered of notes, and then you're holding it. It's like a baby. But I'm assuming you have a lot of books out now, so I'm assuming it's not 3 years for each book.
No, no, no. I've thankfully, fortunately, I've had a book every year since then. I don't know about next year, ladies. my my PhD, my dissertation might take center stage to any of my fiction work at this point. But yeah, the first time I will tell you that when I finally got published, I cried. I broke down and cried when I got that acceptance letter, like in a way that it's almost like, yeah, like your baby, like you're like, oh, I put in all this work and it's finally paid off. And so Caroline rather, she has her own song because I started singing that Neil Diamond song. So that's her song now every time I talk to her because I'm still publishing with them. So it was just an amazing moment in my life. I felt very accomplished, and it was kind of a relief to finally have someone pick it up to share it with the world. So it was very surreal, in that it wasn't something I had initially ever planned to do, and then when it happened, it was like, I can't believe I did this. Like I've accomplished this. So great feeling.
Congratulations again. That is amazing. What advice would you give to people out there who they don't have the storyboard, but it's like 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 years, and they're trying to get it published, and you persevered and did it. What would you share with them?
So I say keep trying, actually. The thing about a story that I've found is that the best thing that I can personally do is let it sit a little bit. So if you write it and you're happy with it and you start querying it and you're getting a lot of rejection, I say step away from it and start working on a new project. That's what works for me. And I'll just kind of let it sit, for as long as I possibly can. That's realistic. And then I'll go back to it and I'll reread it. And a lot of times what I'll do is like, I'm best friends with people at the UPS store. They know when I walk in there because I actually have to read it as a book. So they'll print it out for me. And they do this like amazing job of printing it out for me. So that's like a book. And then I'll just kind of take it with me everywhere. Little geeky girl self, I got my glasses, got my book, and I take notes and stuff like that. and then I'll try to query it again. I'll do the revisions and do it again. And so I say, just keep trying, keep updating it as you go, of course, because obviously things happen like COVID where, wow, that I didn't write that in my book. Nobody wrote that in their book. So make sure that you're just doing that, and then just keep trying, because what's the worst that can happen is that somebody says no, but maybe then one day you get it across somebody's desk, the right person at the right time, and they say yes, and there you go,
That's right. You just never know. You never know who's going to come across your path, and things could change in an instant.
Yes. Sometimes it's all about just being at the right place at the right time,
Yes.
That's
And I'd
true.
love to talk a little bit about the library, because I'm just fixated on it. So how have libraries evolved over time?
Right. So we're all about being the library of the future. And so most people still see libraries as like book repositories, right? This building that just has a bunch of books. And, what am I going to do with that? I have everything online. I can find it here. I can find this article here. I can find this ebook there. And so we're making sure that we're morphing with the times, right? And so we're becoming more of like a community commons, right? Or an information learning center. And so we want to make sure that everybody has access to any bit of information they've ever wanted. We're just this welcoming place. I thought it was really funny the other day. I was talking to someone and I said, oh, just grab some lunch and come on in. And that like blew their mind. It blew their mind. They're like, grab some lunch. Like, you can eat at the library? Yes. Yes, you can. Most of our students will actually Uber Eats, their lunch. They come in, they grab a study room, and they get their food brought over to them to the campus, and they'll bring it over to the circulation desk and they'll pick it up that way. So we're trying to make it so that it's the most welcoming environment that it possibly can be. Kick your feet up, relax. We have study rooms for people who like it quiet. We have quiet spaces for, those people when I go in and study, I can't do too many distractions. So I'll be upstairs in that part of it. But then we have collaborative spaces, because there are some people who work better together. They work better as a team and bouncing ideas off each other. So we have huge whiteboards, and we have everything that you can borrow. You can take out iPads. We have stuff for screen sharing so that you can do presentations together. It's one of those things where it's just a space where we can come together, get you the information you need. If we don't have it there, then we have affiliations with all of our public libraries, just about. So if we don't have it at our library, we're going to find it at another one, and we're going to get it for you. So that's what we like to say is come on in. We have the internet for you. We have just about everything you need. So
I love that. And I'm wondering, this might sound ridiculous, but has the library evolved to a point where it's like going to the dry cleaners and I want XYZ book and it comes down through on a conveyor right to you?
Water comes flying down.
I'm waiting for that. I want to be there the moment that would be amazing. Right now, currently, I am still the conveyor belt. We are the library. Nothing digitizing out of space yet, but we are working to be there, and we're trying to be so convenient, and we definitely want to be accessible to everybody. In Texas, we do have a rural community, right, where when you get outside of our little Texas towns, huge farms, huge ranches, and the further out you get on those guys, the harder it is to get just internet. And so it's one of those things where we want to say, okay, listen, if you need the internet, you can come here, and then we're going to have everything else that you need as well. We'll give you the laptop, we'll give you the mouse, we'll give you the mic, we'll give you everything. The book's not conveyor belt style yet, but we're working on it.
We don't want that to happen if it puts you out of a job. Sorry.
Oh, no. People say that, and it's kind of funny, but to manage information, when you actually stop to look at how that works, librarians are absolutely essential, because you might have all of this information on the internet, but how do you know if it's reliable? What if it's the right information? Where does it need to be put? How does it need to be filed? How do you retrieve it? Those are all the back end things that we do that make everybody's life so convenient, and that's what we love to do, is to make sure that we have the right information available where you need it and where it's easy to get.
That's wonderful. So for our listeners who don't know, can you say who the pronoun we is? See the name of where you work, your university?
Oh, yes. I work at Texas A&M, Central Texas.
Yeah, we all knew that, but I wanted you to say
yes.
So you wear maroon.
So, Winter, as we come to the end of our show, I'd love for you to share with our audience a little bit about your journey to get your doctorate. How has that been going for you, and where are you in the process?
Wow, it's been a long haul. So I finished up my master's degree in psychology a billion years ago. Don't want to date myself. But I was living here in Fort Hood, because I'm military. My husband is military. Very proud veterans. And there is no major university here that offers a PhD program in what I wanted to go into. And so I kind of put the idea off, thinking I'd never have the opportunity to do that. But of course, with everything that's going on with the internet and online learning, I've finally gotten the opportunity to find a PhD program that doesn't require me to move. And so I started my PhD with National Louis. I'm going to be a community psychologist. And I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to be with them. And I'm going to use all of that information to make my library the best place for my community, and then to hopefully just instill practices where every library is like this community hub for all of its little members there.
That is super exciting. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And as a former classroom teacher, I'm really glad that you're maintaining that the library is the nucleus, the center of the universe for education and in the schools. That's wonderful. And you're making it so exciting that people will walk in, because Dr. JACALYN and Winter, even I was so nervous about going into this super quiet place and don't make a sound. And as soon as you walked in, of course, I'm describing elementary and high school, before you just entered the door and she's going, shh, 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 shh. And you're like, okay, I don't belong here. I like to talk. And then I go to college and they're just like, shh.
But that's how people picture librarians still, and I tell people all the time, I'm a New Yorican. We are set. Our default level is loud. There's nothing quiet about us. So you come in and we'll hang out. That's why we always make sure our quiet floors are up and kind of away. So when you come in, you don't feel that at all. Bring your food, bring your drinks, bring your computers. We have students come in with pillows and whatever makes them comfortable. We have places for them to lay down. So yeah, we definitely want it to be a welcoming environment. So no more of that shh. That's the library of old.
And hopefully you have a reading corner that has all your books so that they know they need to read all your books in this reading corner.
Yeah, yes, that is. I do work at an academic library, but we do have a very huge fiction section. We have an amazing children's section and a young adult section. So
wow.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Well, you look extremely happy. You're actually glowing. So obviously you love what you're doing. That comes through. Winter, for people who are listening on the radio and they can't read the banner, and people who want to get in touch with you who are watching, how should they reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
So the best way to reach me is always going to be you can go to my Facebook page. And I'm really bad with handles and all that other stuff. So if you just go to www.winterlawrence.com, my website has all the links to my social media. The Facebook page is the best way to get through to me. And if you have any questions, there's actually an inquiry box on the website, and that'll come straight to my email. And I'll get right back to you. I have just answered a request right before I started this. So I'm pretty good on doing it that way.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today. It's really a pleasure to meet you, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was so great meeting y'all.
Thank
Hope
you.
you come back.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely. Please do come back. All right. We'll see you again later.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye. She was lovely, Diane, of course.
She was. And we have to have her come back and really dive into some of her characters because they're so fascinating. And, you know, sci-fi and those type of characters, they're not easy to write. So
No, I can't even imagine.
It'd be fun to dive into her character development. I think people would find it very interesting.
We'll invite her back for sure. And Diane, for people who want to reach out to you, what's the best way and who should contact you?
Sure. You can reach me at my website, DIANNFLOYDBOEHM, but I'm also proud to announce that you can also reach me through usaglobaltv.com, and you'll find my information right there when you click on any of the YouTube channels, and Dr. JACALYN has everything about all of us there. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you, Diane. All right, we are going to sign off. We've got another show coming up, which is the film and music show. So you stay wherever you are, and I'll run to the next studio. And Diane, I look forward to seeing you next week.
Next week, and I'm going to enjoy watching the next show. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Fantastic. All right, thanks again. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.